What's going on, guys? It's Nick here, back with another video. Top 10 consensus must-own players as voted on by you guys. These are the players that the community wants to get on their team more than any other player. I wanted to make this video because I've talked a lot about the players that I like, so I thought it would be interesting to see which players were sticking more than others and which players you had the most confidence in performing well. Now, this is just the first video in a series I'll be doing on this channel involving not only you guys, but also outside opinions. I don't want to give too much away, so be on the lookout for future videos related to this, because this will not be the only time I'll be polling you guys and other communities. As always, if you enjoy the content, then be sure to leave a like on the video. It shows us that you guys approve of what we're doing here. But let's start things off, like always, with the stat of the day. Yesterday's stat was among running backs with at least 150 carries last season. The top three in yards created per carry were Derrick Henry, Melvin Gordon, Saquon Barkley, and the question was, who was the fourth? The answer was Adrian Peterson. No one's gotten it yet, but of course, there's still time. Today's stat, among running backs with at least 30 targets last season, who had the highest pass blocking grade? Okay, before we start, I wanted to talk about the common theme with the list and what it shows about the preferred draft strategy this season. A common theme with the wide receivers, tight end, and quarterbacks that you guys like the most is where you can draft them. We all know the top guys are studs and we want them on our team. But there are a ton of value options at those positions going in the middle and late rounds that they became your guys' favorite targets. It shows that you guys prefer going running back heavy early on and pairing those backs with great value picks at other positions. There were very, very few responses talking about mid and late round running backs, but a boatload talking about mid and late round options at other positions. So let's start off the list with Marquez ValdesSchuster, and your top reason was that you think you're getting a starting option much later than you should be. It would be nice to know for sure that he has won the job in two wide receiver sets, and we have not confirmed this yet, but it looks extremely likely that it will be Adams and MVS on the outside this season with Allison manning the slot. That's not to say Adams and Marquez won't work out of the slot on occasion, because they will. But it does look like MVS will be in on every single snap. You've heard the praise all offseason, and we know how much upside there is for wide receivers in the Packers offense. He ended up having a solid rookie season, ended with 73 targets despite not really playing until week 4 and getting a bit unlucky in touchdowns and receptions per target, both of which are areas we can expect to see improvement. He's a gifted athlete with an incredible combination of height and speed, and now he's on Rodgers' good side. That player is available in like the late 9th, sometimes 10th round. I do still like Allison, and maybe there's a chance that MVS gets hyped up a little bit too much and Allison becomes the value, but honestly, just get players on this team. So you guys really like Marquez ValdesSchuster. Another player you like is T.Y. Hilton, and the primary reason for that was you guys are saying, hey, the dude's always underrated. You know, he's never really considered in that top tier of wide receiver, even though he should be. And honestly, like, I agree with this take. You know, if Luck can stay healthy this season, then this offense is going to be unbelievable. In the seasons that Andrew Luck has been healthy, hasn't been injured in, Hilton's finished wide receiver 11, 5, and 14, with last season's 14 the result of missing multiple games and playing as a decoy in others. Remember the stat that I shared in the wide receiver rankings video. As a result of pulling his hamstring in week 4, he missed weeks 5 and week 6, played in a limited snap count in week 7, and then a decoy in week 8 before a week 9 bye. Then, from week 10 on, he posted 917 receiving yards, 163 more yards than the second most. And his season-long pace over those weeks was 100 receptions for over 1,800 yards. This is a guy that no one lumps into the top tier, so you can oftentimes get him in that early 3rd round, pairing him with 2 elite skill position players. So I absolutely see why you guys want to get T.Y. on your teams. I mean, heck, last night I tweeted out a link of a mock draft that someone was doing in our chat, and I said, hey, who wants to join this? And someone was able to pair Odell Beckham Jr., Julio Jones, and T.Y. Hilton. Tell me you're not pumped about the start of that draft. But anyways, the third wide receiver, and I'm going to talk about 5 wide receivers here because you guys just love your wide receivers. Third one is Christian Kirk. The most common reason you guys wrote down was that you feel you're getting a starting wide receiver that you feel good about in the later portion of draft. Not in like the late rounds, but in the later portions of draft. You feel like you can trust him in your flex spot to start. And I agree again with this take. We don't know exactly how many plays Cliff Kingsbury wants to run, but we do know he wants to run a ton and he wants to be the league leader. Kirk was a bright spot in that terrible offense last season, and every report indicates that he is the team's top option. Now, I cannot overstate enough how big of a difference it makes going from a team that's last in points per game, second to last in plays per game, to a team that should be top 3 in plays per game and at least very likely to be around league average in points per game. We don't know. There's a huge range of outcomes in where they're going to finish in points per game, but my expectation is they're at least league average. And that's a big jump from being dead last by a good amount. There's going to be more touchdowns, more targets, and more yards to go around. So Kirk is in position to be a starting wide receiver for fantasy, but he's not really being drafted like it. So I absolutely love that you guys included him. Another wide receiver you included was DJ Moore, and your top reasons for that were that he is extremely talented and that there's a very clear distribution of targets. You know the targets are going to a little bit to Olsen, but obviously not as much as in recent years, but to McCaffrey, Moore, Samuel. When they drop back, that's where the targets are going. And I agree with this take as well. Moore is one of the best athletes at the wide receiver position. He was first in yards per route run among rookies with at least 50 targets, while leading the league in yards after the catch per reception. In fact, he had the 4th most yards per target ever among wide receivers with at least 75 targets before their age 22 season, trailing only Juju, Keenan Allen, and Randy Moss. And that was with Newton only able to play in 14 games and playing injured in others. This kid is special, but people want to avoid him because they're like, oh, well, Newton can't produce 1,000-yard receivers. Well, no, he's produced 4,000-yard receivers with Olsen, Funchess, Calvin Benjamin, Ted Ginn, and Jericho Cotchery. Explain to me how he was supposed to produce more than that. Moore and Samuel both need to be targeted in all formats. The last wide receiver, and it's not a must-own list unless we include our guy, Chris Godwin. Your top reason was that he is a great value as a safe breakout candidate. You guys think he has the chance to produce elite numbers, to be a wide receiver 1, but if that doesn't hit, it's not like you're drafting a bust because he's still going to produce for where he's drafted. The floor with Godwin is massive. He finished as the wide receiver 25 last year while playing on just under 65% of snaps. And the Bucs now lost to Deshaun Jackson and Adam Humphries, which frees up 179 targets. It also allows Godwin to play in the slot. I can't imagine that many of these leftover targets are going to Brashad Perriman. So while I see Howard and Pyramid seeing some of this 179, there's still a ton left over for Godwin. There's a very real chance that he sees over 100 receptions this season, and he's currently going as a wide receiver 21, which is probably, to be honest, his floor. At tight end, you only listed one. There were very few responses for tight end, but the main one you guys want is Mark Andrews. And the main reasoning being, he's not going to cost you anything. He looks great in camp. Jackson loves him, and he's had one of the best rookie tight end seasons ever. Yeah, I agree. My main tight end targets this season are Kelsey, Howard, and Andrews, with my 2 favorites being Howard and Andrews. He posted a 34 for 552 and 3 stat line, tying Ertz for 4th in yards per route run among tight ends. He became just the 3rd rookie tight end ever to post that stat line or better at age 22 or younger, and he had by far the most yards per route run among that group. Every single report from camp indicates that he's Lamar Jackson's favorite target, even going as far to say that he's been the most dangerous and productive target on the offense. I cannot even imagine not wanting to draft him in the 13th or 14th round, which is where he's going. At running back, you guys listed 2, and the first was David Johnson. Top reason being you're getting a 3-down back on a high-volume offense who has proven to have a massive ceiling. Last season, David Johnson ran between the guards on 63% of his carries. Almost every coach can tell you that's a terrible idea. You don't run David Johnson up the middle and expect him to be productive. He also only saw 4.75 targets per game, way down from the 7.5 he saw in 2016. Kingsbury is going to use him far more as a receiver this season, and he's going to be more productive. He was first last season in percent of team carries inside the 20, 10, and 5-yard line, including 100% of the team's carries inside the 5. He was also able to finish as the running back 9, despite how bad the offense was around him. He's going to crush this season as long as he can stay healthy, and we have no reason to believe that he can't. The top running back, though, easily the most responses came in for Kerryon Johnson. Top reasons being that he had a great rookie season. Theo Riddick and LeGarrette Blount are gone. He is a great pass catcher, and it's a great start being able to pair him oftentimes with a top 5 running back given where he's going in drafts. As a rookie, he was 2nd in yards per carry, 7th in yards per carry after contact, 2nd in yards per carry differential when comparing to his teammates, and 11th in yards after the catch per reception among running backs. With Theo gone, I have his projected receptions at 64 now. 64 projected receptions for Kerryon Johnson. And he now comes in with the 12th highest projection among running backs. If you want to see my full projections on all players, along with my rankings and player notes on them, then you can check that out at our website, thefantasyfootballadvice.com. For quarterbacks, you guys chose 2, and they were Carson Wentz and Lamar Jackson. I do really like the value in drafting Carson Wentz in that 7th or 8th round, kind of depending on your hometown league, how early they draft quarterbacks. There's absolutely a chance he finishes in the top 5 this season, just given how many weapons the team has, how good the offensive line is, and how good he is. I mean, they have Ertz, Alshon, Deshaun Jackson, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Aguilar, Goddard, Howard, Sanders. Like, they have depth to withstand injuries, and they have all areas covered. 2 great tight ends, great slot options. Alshon's the good possession receiver, Djax is a deep threat, and a nice duo of running backs to go with a top 3 offensive line. I agree, without a doubt, that he's a great pick. My only thing is that there's a bunch of great picks at quarterback this season, so there's no need to spend a 7th round pick on one. You can just keep loading up on skill position players and draft the best value of them all in Lamar Jackson. I'm very happy you guys voted for Lamar Jackson. My constant talking about him is finally rubbing off on you guys. But drafting him just makes too much sense. Mobile quarterbacks, like I've said in almost every video, are a cheat code in fantasy. 20 quarterbacks have ever had more than 100 rushing attempts. Half of them have finished in the top 3 for fantasy. Lamar Jackson had 119 carries last season in his 7 regular season starts. He led the league in fantasy points per dropback last season by a mile and was a quarterback 8 when he finally started, despite throwing for 164 passing yards per game and getting extremely unlucky in the touchdown department. So when you combine that with his development as a passer, an entire offseason for one of the best coaching staffs in the league to build their game plan around him and not Flacco, with positive touchdown regression looming, and a much better supporting cast of skill position players, then it's easy to see how he comes in with my 6th highest projection among quarterbacks. It's just an icing on the cake that the Ravens face one of the easiest pass schedules in the entire league this season. He's going to finish as a quarterback 1 as long as he plays at least 14 games. So his 12th round ADP as quarterback 18 or 19, depending on the site, is a complete joke. So those are the top 10 consensus must-own players this season as voted on by you guys. We'll be doing something like this again next week, so be on the lookout for that. And let me know in the comment section if you disagree. Maybe some of these players you feel are being hyped up a little bit too much, and you're thinking of fading them in your drafts. With that, my friends, that is the end of this video. I hope you all did enjoy. If you did, how about hitting the like button? If you're new here, how about subscribing to the channel? Thanks for watching.